See the girl with the dark hair? She's talking with a friend at school in a formal setting we call a classroom. Here she is at home with her family. Does she use the exact same vocabulary, syntax in both settings, or does it change? Not necessarily consciously, but do her speech patterns change depending on where she is or who she's with? Context. Language is influenced by context. That's what pragmatics is all about. A person's speech is altered, sometimes subtly, sometimes in very obvious ways, depending on who they're with or who's listening in, who they're talking to, what kind of a setting it is, formal or informal, etc. So for children, a good example of that is just simply that. Children might talk very differently at school, say to a teacher, than they would to a parent at home. They might talk very differently if they are taken out to eat at a restaurant than they would at the kitchen table. So that's an example of childhood pragmatics. But you know, it actually goes all the way up into adulthood too, this idea of pragmatics. For instance, people who automatically switch between their ethnic, shall we say, street language of their neighborhood in one setting, but then they go to work, for instance, or some other more formal setting, and suddenly they're speaking more standard English. And they may not be aware of it completely, or they might, but it's something that seems to kick in more or less automatically because we probably have file folders set up in our language knowledge and language usage to say, oh, here's the file folder for talking out on the street with my friends. Here's the file folder for the kind of vocabulary we use when we're in a formal setting or people who are not from my neighborhood or my culture. So it happens. It happens from a very early age and it carries on through. And it seems to help people cope with the complexity of living in a society where they might be in more than one context in the course of a day. Check yourself. See if maybe you are able and automatically switch depending on who you're with or the context of where you are. You might amuse yourself to find yourself changing your vocabulary, changing your style of speaking, if you didn't already know that you were doing that. So have fun with that.